Chapter 200. Fong Duoduo's eyes lit up. I heard that boss is a healing-type spirit chi professional who ascended to the Star Tower's 100th floor with a 100% win rate and qualified for the Celestial Stairway promotion duels. When Fong Duoduo said this, he emphasized the words healing-type spirit chi professional. It was like a reminder to Long Tao, reminding him of what he had told Long Tao before. However, Long Tao clearly did not understand Fong Duoduo's intentions. Instead, he spoke with great interest. A healing-type spirit chi professional has a 100% success rate when climbing the tower? Interesting. As soon as Long Tao finished his words, Fong Duoduo couldn't help but complain in his heart. This wasn't just a little interesting, this was way too interesting, okay? Fong Duoduo suddenly heard Long Tao ask, "Didn't I ask Xiao Feng to train himself at the Celestial Stairway rank advancement competition? How does Xiao Feng know about black?" Fong Duoduo grinned and said, "How would I know? But Chen Hongfeng is very hard-working." Although Fong Duoduo said that, he was already mourning for Chen Hongfeng in his heart. Chen Hongfeng was a member of Dragon Gate Club's reserve team for the S tournament. As the Radiance 100 Sequence 3, Long Tao was also the captain of the Dragon Gate Guild Club's S tournament team. Long Tao thought highly of Chen Hongfeng, who was currently in the reserve team. He planned to train Chen Hongfeng heavily. However, in Fong Duoduo's opinion, whoever caught Long Tao's eye and wanted to be nurtured well was simply unlucky. Chen Hongfeng used to be such an affable fat otaku. In 4 months, Long Tao had trained Chen Hongfeng into a skinny otaku. Sure enough, Fong Duoduo listened to Long Tao. Little Feng isn't training seriously. Tell him to train another 100 matches after he comes down from Star Web. Fong Duoduo silently lit a candle for Chen Hongfeng in his heart. Moreover, this candle was white. At this moment, Fong Duoduo heard Long Tao's exclamation again. Long Tao said, "Why does it feel so familiar?" At this moment, Long Tao looked at Black, who was standing opposite Chen Hongfeng. He felt that the silver-masked man had a temperament that left a deep impression on him. It was as if he had seen it somewhere before. Fong Duoduo interrupted. "Chen Hongfeng, you've been training him for almost half a year. Of course you're familiar with him." Long Tao looked at Fong Duoduo as if he was a fool. Then, he ignored Fong Duoduo and looked at Chen Hongfeng's live stream. It didn't matter if the man in black with the silver mask was familiar or not. Long Tao really wanted to see how a healing-type spirit chi professional could fight his way to the Celestial Stairway promotion duels with a winning streak. When Fong Duoduo received Long Tao's gaze, he trembled. She wondered why she had to be lazy to watch Chen Hongfeng's live broadcast with Long Tao. Wouldn't it be better to train in the training room with your teammates? After Chen Hongfeng said that to the live broadcast room, he didn't think that he was broadcasting at all. Instead, he focused all his attention on the arena. However, at this time, Chen Hongfeng's live streaming channel was in an uproar. Bree supporting the Willow. Just now, Child Feng called him boss. Does that mean that Sequence 3, Lord C. Topple, is also watching this live broadcast? I can actually watch the same broadcast as Lord Overturned C. This is such a blessing. Dark Moon Luo Feng. Ah! It was Lord Black. I really want to see just how strong Lord Black is. Your little fairy is here with me. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to faint from excitement. Why is chemistry so difficult? So what if you faint? I've already peed my pants. I didn't even move. I'm going to watch this duel first. Chen Hongfeng wasn't in a hurry to summon his phase. He looked at Lin Yuan and said, "Black, after this match, I'll end your winning streak." Upon hearing Chen Hongfeng's words, Lin Yuan didn't say anything and immediately summoned Chimey and Red Thorn. The moment Lin Yuan summoned Chimey and Red Thorn, Chen Hongfeng also summoned his 2 phase. When Lin Yuan saw Chen Hongfeng's summoned phase, his eyes shrank. These 2 phase were lizard phase. One of them had bluish-black skin, and the teeth on the outside of its mouth were exposed. Each of the densely packed teeth was more than 4 inches long. Its body was as strong as a giant elephant, and its limbs were thick and powerful. It was a giant lizard with a very sinister appearance. Its body was 8 meters long and 4 meters tall. Its body seemed to be filled with powerful energy and explosive power. The other Fae was a lizard that was over 1 meter in size, but it looked very strange. Its entire body was covered with dark green and brown stripes. It had a massive tail that was like a shield blocking in front of its body. This lizard's body was only the size of a watermelon, but its curled tail was more than 10 times the size of its body. Lin Yuan used true data to look at the two phase data. First Fey frowny face Fey name, smooth-toothed elephant lizard, Fey species, toothed lizard/giant lizard, Fey grade, gold, 610, Fey type, water Fey quality, flawless abilities frowny face tragic claw, rapidly brandish its sharp claws. While tearing the target, the mucus on the sharp claws will seep into the target's body and cause a bleeding effect. Smooth-toothed tear. After biting the target, it will rapidly shake its head and tear the target. At the same time, it will rotate its body and twist off a large piece of flesh. Oily mucus. The body secretes a large amount of oily mucus that can effectively resist physical damage. Wave treading strike. Stimulate the body's water elemental energy to perform a self-sacrificing strike. Exclusive skill frowny face blood burning strike. Burn all the body's water elemental energy and blood to launch a fatal strike through the tongue. After the attack, the target will enter a near-death state. Second Fey frowny face Fey name, huge-tailed swamp lizard, Fey species, tailed lizard/scaled lizard, Fey grade, gold, 810, Fey type, water/earth, Fey quality, flawless abilities frowny face fetid mud. Spray out mud with strong corrosiveness and a fetid smell. The mud contains pathogenic bacteria. Fetid swamp. Create a fetid swamp in a small area. If a target steps on the swamp, it will be dragged into the depths of the swamp by the swamp's sinking force. Mud escape. The body can hide in the fetid swamp and rely on the swamp to avoid damage. Rotten mud rain curtain. Circulate the body's earth and water elements to create a heavy rain of fetid mud. Exclusive skill frowny face broken tail rebirth. When facing a fatal attack, the huge-tailed swamp lizard can use its tail to resist the damage and sever its tail to escape. It will then rapidly stimulate the body's energy to grow a new tail. When he saw the two phase data, Lin Yuan knew that he was about to face a tough battle. These two phases were very outstanding, be it in terms of abilities or exclusive skills. Furthermore, one of the two phases had prehistoric atavism, while the other had spiritual mutation. Their control and burst abilities formed a rather good combination. Lin Yuan knew that if he made a mistake or was careless, he would lose the match. But at the same time, this battle, in which he was at a slight disadvantage, ignited Lin Yuan's long-lost hot blood. This hot blood was just like when he was resisting the insect tide outside Millstone Town. The battle situation on the battlefield was on the verge of breaking out as Lin Yuan commanded Red Thorn to launch an attack. Baidu was the first to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Clawbook House, for free. Chapter 201. Red Thorn had already ejected a large amount of spores from its spore cavity. A large number of spores had already formed a sea of flowers under Red Thorn's energy transmission. In this battle, Red Thorn was not stingy with its energy. Under Lin Yuan's command, it had expanded the sea of flowers as much as possible and covered the battlefield. The huge-tailed swamp lizard wasn't idle either. It had already used its skill, Stinking Swamp, to expand a swamp that was nearly 10 square meters wide. The large-tailed swamp lizard was a spell unit, so the fetid swamp lizard was only there to hide and avoid damage. This way, the huge-tailed swamp lizard could continuously use smelly mud or decaying mud rain to deal damage from the rear. At this moment, the huge-tailed swamp lizard had already stirred up the mud and attacked the child rabbits that Red Thorn had spawned. However, the next scene shocked Chen Hongfeng. The corrosive mud created by the huge-tailed swamp lizard did not cause much damage to the plants in the sea of flowers. Lin Yuan was not surprised by this situation, as everything was within his expectations. Red Thorn had to devour large amounts of dimensional lifeforms' flesh and blood every day. As of now, Red Thorn had devoured countless Class 3-dimensional lifeforms' flesh that were comparable to Gold Phase. Among them, there was even a Class 3 alien insect, acid corrosion tapeworm, whose blood was highly corrosive. Even the rank 3 alien insect, the acid corrosion sackworm, Red Thorn, ate it with relish and was not affected at all. Therefore, the child rabbits and rabbits that Red Thorn produced were extremely resistant to corrosion. The huge-tailed swamp lizard wanted to expand its swamp into the sea of flowers, so it jumped to the edge of the sea of flowers and prepared to use its gold skill, Decaying Rain. At that moment, Lin Yuan made a prompt decision to summon the blue flash purple butterfly, which he had never summoned in a battle before. In the past, Whenever he used the blue flash purple butterfly's silent scale powder, he would casually release it through Morbius on his wrist. The effect of the silent scale powder wasn't as powerful as when the blue flash purple butterfly was summoned and released by itself. The moment the blue flash purple butterfly appeared, a bluish-purple halo flickered. After a few flashes, the blue flash purple butterfly disappeared into the sea of flowers. With a flap of its wings, the scattered scale powder seemed to have set off a faint purple haze. However, this magnificent purple haze was a complete disaster for the spiritually mutated huge-tailed swamp lizard. The silent scale powder, which had an adhesive property, sprinkled onto the huge-tailed swamp lizard's body. The huge-tailed swamp lizard, which was still controlling the decaying rain, immediately dissipated the decaying rain that had yet to form. The moment the adhesive silent scale powder came into contact with the huge-tailed swamp lizard, the huge-tailed swamp lizard lost its ability to sense the water and earth elements. The blue flash purple butterfly, a creature that only existed in ancient texts and legends, appeared in front of everyone for the first time in this battle. It immediately set off a storm that was not inferior to Black's appearance. After the Spirit Chi awakening, the top 10 most beautiful fays would be evaluated every year. The blue flash butterfly could have been in the top 5 based on its beauty, but because its high-grade skills weren't that strong, it was ranked 9th. Now that Lin Yuan had summoned the blue flash purple butterfly, it proved that the blue flash purple butterfly did exist in the blue flash butterfly population. At the same time, it also proved the authenticity of the ancient documents. This year, the blue flash butterfly might even have the qualifications to reach the top 3 of the top 10 most beautiful fays. Chen Hongfeng was also in a trance for a moment when he saw the blue flash purple butterfly. Just as Chen Hongfeng was in a trance, he had already controlled Red Thorn to transmit most of its energy to the huge-tailed swamp lizard, which was controlled by the blue flash purple butterfly's silent scale powder. The strongest ramets that Red Thorn could produce were quickly spawned near the huge-tailed swamp lizard that was controlled by the blue flash purple butterfly's silent scale powder. The ramet's vines grabbed at the huge-tailed swamp lizard, which was controlled by the silent scale powder and could not sense any water and earth elements. Chen Hongfeng had already recovered from his momentary trance. When he saw the thorny vines at the edge of the sea of flowers that were grabbing at the huge-tailed swamp lizard, he immediately knew that it was not good. The huge-tailed swamp lizard, which was controlled and could not sense the water and earth elements, was a live target that could not resist. If it was dragged into this large sea of flowers, how could it come out alive? Therefore, Chen Hongfeng shouted and ordered the huge-tailed swamp lizard to use its exclusive skill, Broken Tail Rebirth. After breaking its tail, the huge-tailed swamp lizard immediately became the size of a watermelon, and its small body flashed back into the swamp that had been spawned. The swamp was slowly washing away the silent scale powder on the huge-tailed swamp lizard's body. At that moment, he provided a large amount of spiritual power to the blue flash purple butterfly. The blue flash purple butterfly immediately released a large amount of silent scale powder. This lavender haze was like a snow cherry blooming in midsummer. When the scale powder fell, it carried a unique halo, making this foul-smelling tide look like a fairyland. He used the blue flash purple butterfly to seal the huge-tailed swamp lizard's movements. The swamp created by the huge-tailed swamp lizard was too small, and its body was still stained with silent scale powder, so it could not create another swamp. Therefore, the entire foul-smelling swamp lizard was mixed with a large amount of silent scale powder released by the blue flash purple butterfly, turning this foul-smelling swamp of less than 10 square meters into a forbidden area that isolated any elements. It was this forbidden area that the huge-tailed swamp lizard had created and firmly locked any possible movement of the huge-tailed swamp. Red Thorn's sea of flowers had already surrounded the swamp, which was less than 10 square meters in size. A large number of elite ramets surrounded the swamp layer by layer. The huge-tailed swamp lizard was a gold 8/flawless fey, but its defense was not strong. However, the large-tailed swamp lizard's defense wasn't strong. If it came out, it wouldn't have that many tails to break in this sea of flowers. It would be torn into pieces by this sea of flowers. Chen Hongfeng's expression was very ugly. Chen Hongfeng didn't expect that Black would immediately cripple one of his fays. This made him feel very passive. However, he was not having a good time either. Without using the spirit chi imprint, the spiritual power in his body was almost exhausted. A large amount of spirit chi was provided to the blue flash purple butterfly and red thorns ortet, which sealed the huge-tailed swamp lizard. Although the spirit gather goldfish's exclusive skill, the spirit chi imprint, could solve the current problem. However, he did not intend to use the Spirit Chi imprint in any of the Star Tower duels. Once the Spirit Chi imprint was opened, once the spiritual power contained in it was released, it could only stop when all the spiritual power was exhausted. The Spirit Chi imprint was one of Lin Yuan's trump cards to survive in the real world. If he had not unlocked the Spirit Chi imprint, he would not have been able to create that sea of flowers in Millstone Town that could resist the Pinnacle Class 1 insect tide. Therefore, the next duel was considered Lin Yuan's real difficult battle. Chen Hongfeng's remaining gold 6/flawless smooth-toothed elephant lizard was a fey that relied purely on brute force. Its exclusive skill, blood-burning strike, might enter a near-death state after launching this strike. However, under the explosive power of this move, Lin Yuan was likely to be taken away by this blood-burning strike. Chen Hongfeng had already commanded the smooth-toothed elephant lizard to charge toward Lin Yuan and face Red Thorn's Ortet. Although the small sea of flowers produced by Red Thorn could cause damage to the huge-tailed swamp lizard, it could not do anything to this wild smooth-toothed elephant lizard. Lin Yuan even vaguely felt a trace of a dragon species fey in this smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body. It seemed that this smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body already had a faint possibility of reversion toward the smooth-toothed dragon. When the smooth-toothed elephant lizard galloped over, it had already used its gold ability, wave treading. While the smooth-toothed elephant lizard was galloping over, it suddenly screamed in pain. Lin Yuan's gold eye/legend acid corrosion queen bee had been hiding in an inconspicuous child rhizome. When the smooth-toothed elephant lizard galloped close, the acid corrosion queen bee activated wing stealth. When the smooth-toothed elephant lizard galloped close, the acid corrosion queen bee activated wing stealth. It allowed the acid corrosion queen bee to silently conceal its whereabouts and activate its exclusive skill, two-hit kill, at the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's abdomen. Two slender stingers pierced straight into the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's abdomen, and the venom was injected into its body along the stingers. The acid corrosion queen bee's two stingers carried two kinds of acid corrosion venom, which instantly disintegrated a bucket-sized hole in the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's abdomen. As soon as this hole appeared, many of the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's internal organs were directly affected by the gravity and blocked in this broken hole. The acid corrosion queen bee's sudden attack completely caught the smooth-toothed elephant lizard off guard. The acid corrosion queen bee benefited but did not immediately retreat. Instead, it continued to stab the penetrating bone bee stinger into the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's most vulnerable organs that were blocked in the hole. The penetrating bone bee stinger was not done shattering the organs. At the same time, it cruelly produced a parasitic wasp pupa. Then, the smooth-toothed elephant lizard hissed in pain and swept its tail over. The acid corrosion queen bee activated its wing stealth skill and disappeared into the bushes in a flash. This large sea of flowers was the best battlefield for the acid corrosion queen bee, and it was also the most advantageous protection for the acid corrosion queen bee. After using the acid corrosion queen bee's set of abilities, the spirit chi in his body was immediately depleted. Had it not been for Red Thorn's thornless vine supporting Lin Yuan, he would have instantly fallen to the ground due to the exhaustion of spirit chi. He used the last bit of spiritual power in his body to use the Spirit Gather Goldfish's spirit injection ability on himself. However, when he used the Spirit Gather Goldfish's spirit injection ability, he let Red Thorn wave its vines to block his action. At that moment, Chen Hongfeng was not worried about the smooth-toothed elephant rhino's injuries. Instead, the corners of his mouth suddenly revealed a determined smile as he said, "It's close enough. Black, you've been fooled." Baidu immediately read the latest chapter of the Beast Evolution Merchant Clawbook House for free. Chapter 202. Chen Hongfeng's voice rang out. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard immediately used its exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike, which could only be used once before entering a near-death state. At that moment, everyone in Chen Hongfeng's Star Web live-streaming room could not help but hold their breaths as they watched the duel. When Dusk summoned the blue flash purple butterfly, the screen was still densely packed and blocked the live broadcast. However, when he saw Black and Chen Hongfeng fighting, Black directed the blue flash purple butterfly to seal the gold 6/flawless huge-tailed swamp lizard. Watching Hua Hai and the blue flash purple butterfly's flawless coordination, Tang Wulin felt like he was watching a movie that was delightful to watch. Many people couldn't bear to send bullet comments to destroy this smooth and flowing scene. A large number of people poured into Chen Hongfeng's live broadcast room. Among them was Star Web special columnist Tian Ningning. When Tian Ningning heard that Black was going to fight in the promotion match and that his opponent was going to be broadcasted live, she was shocked. He put down everything he was doing and entered Chen Hongfeng's live streaming room. Tian Ningning watched the battle between Black and Chen Hongfeng, and the decision she made in her heart became firmer. It wasn't that Tian Ningning was betting on whether the dark faction would always be popular and newsworthy. As a Star Web special columnist reporter, Tian Ningning could be considered a literati. Scholars always had a faint sense of arrogance in their bones. This arrogance made Tian Ningning only want to write columns that interested her, and only want to interview the people she wanted to interview. It was probably a response to the saying, "I would rather die holding a fragrant branch than being blown away by the north wind." Otherwise, Tian Ningning would not have refused to become the exclusive reporter of the eliminated sequence member of the Radiance 100. There were only 100 members of the Radiance 100 sequence in the entire Radiance Federation. Every year, 10 new candidates would enter the Radiance 100 sequence. At the same time, it would also eliminate the top 10 sequence members. However, these sequence members who had been eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence might seem to have come down from the altar. However, their reputation would not be much worse than those newly selected Radiance 100 sequence members. Black's appearance made Tian Ningning feel like picking up a pen and continuously writing articles about this young man's deeds and exciting battles and posting them on the Star Web. Although Black had never shown its true face to anyone, it had always been wearing a silver mask. However, Tian Ningning was still willing to believe that Black was just a teenager. Although Black usually wore a silver mask and appeared unusually calm, there was always a hint of youthfulness in its temperament. This youthful feeling made Tian Ningning feel that when she looked at Black's eyes through the silver mask, it was as if there was a sun hidden in his eyes. It was as if Black could unleash its sharpness at any time, break through the layers of clouds, and let the sun rise from the east. Tian Ningning had paid a huge price to see Zhang Xiaobai, Xianing, and the others at the Extreme Guild Club. It was now the preparation stage of the S tournament. As a B-level guild, the pressure on the Extreme Guild Club wasn't small. Otherwise, they could take a step forward and fight their way into the top 16, advancing to become an A-grade guild. Otherwise, they could maintain their current position as a B-rank guild. The S tournament was the biggest team competition for the younger generation. There was no one who didn't want to give it a try. Furthermore, the captain of the Extreme Guild Club's main team, the Radiance 100 sequence number 18 White Devil, had also experienced a significant increase in strength over the past 6 months. As a result, the Extreme Guild Club, which was a second-level guild club, had a good chance of becoming an A-level guild club this year. Therefore, as members of the reserve team for the S tournament, Xianing and Zhang Xiaobai naturally had to step up their training. As a Star Web special columnist, Tian Ningning also had her own connections. Tian Ningning used a lot of favors to enter the Extreme Guild Club and find Xianing and Zhang Xiaobai. In fact, Tian Ningning had put in so much effort just to try her luck. However, what made Tian Ningning excited was that her efforts weren't in vain. Since Black had agreed, he would look for him on Star Web. Although Tian Ningning wasn't sure if she could become Black's exclusive reporter, at least she could have a chance to fight for it. In the meeting room of the Dragon Gate Guild Club, Long Tao watched the battle between Black and Chen Hongfeng. Seeing that the smooth-toothed elephant lizard had activated its exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike, he said. Black doesn't look like a healing-type spirit chi professional. Feng Duo replied immediately upon hearing Long Tao's words. This strange plant sea of flowers looks gorgeous, but it's not that strong. As soon as Feng Duo finished speaking, Long Tao glanced at him and shook his head. It's very strong, but if this is Black's full strength, then he hasn't reached the standard of a sequence member. Feng Duo didn't understand why Long Tao would say that. Long Tao had always been arrogant, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was arrogant. Since when would Long Tao give others such a high evaluation? At that moment, Feng Duo heard Long Tao's explanation. Although I don't know if this strange plant is a plant species Fey or a source-type life form, it should be at epic. Feng Duo couldn't help but ask. Bronze/epic? Long Tao nodded and continued speaking. Do you know why that mutated blue flash butterfly was able to defeat Little Feng's gold huge-tailed swamp lizard with bronze strength? Feng Duo stroked his chin and pondered for a moment before replying. Apart from restraining it, could this blue flash purple butterfly also be of high quality? Long Tao asked indifferently. I can't figure out this blue flash purple butterfly specific quality just based on this live broadcast, but it's at least epic. Fong Duo was shocked when he heard that. Long Tao's words had always been watertight. If Long Tao could be sure that it was epic, he would definitely not say that it was at least epic. But did a bronze/legend fae really exist? As soon as he had this thought, Fong Duo suddenly recalled the Redbud City girl who had a bronze/fantasy breed fae on the news. Fong Duo couldn't help but sigh. Indeed, comparisons were odious. When comparing goods, one had to throw them away. I'm a Radiance 100 sequence member. The Radiance Federation's prodigy. Why does it seem like my talent suddenly seems to have become so ordinary? However, Fong Duo wasn't willing to believe that this blue flash purple butterfly was a bronze/legend fae. It was simply too shocking. Although Long Tao was a Class 3 creation master, he had only watched the live broadcast on StarWeb and had not actually come into contact with the fae. It was difficult to accurately judge the fae's quality. When Long Tao saw that Fong Duo was no longer speaking, he explained again. Did you see that bee that injured the smooth-toothed elephant lizard just now? The smooth-toothed elephant lizard's silver ability, oily mucus, allows it to effectively resist physical damage, but it still couldn't block this gold eye bee's attack. Long Tao paused for a moment before continuing. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard is already a gold 6/flawless fae. A gold eye fae that can directly cause such severe damage to the smooth-toothed elephant lizard can only be a legend fae. As for that little blue bird that hasn't made a move yet, I can't determine its quality just by looking at it, but it can't be that low. Long Tao's words made Fong Duo blurt out. Fuck! Black is a Radiance coin warrior, right? Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Clawbook House, for free. Chapter 203. From Long Tao's analysis, Fong Duo seemed to understand something. Black's phase grades were not high, but their quality was terrifyingly high. This meant that Black must be a member of the younger generation. Otherwise, Black's phase grades would not be so low. However, Fong Duo could not help but feel very doubtful. According to Long Tao's analysis, Black had at least 2 bronze/epic phase. Since Black could control gold phase, it meant that he was at least a C-rank spirit chi professional. However, he clearly had 2 high-quality bronze phase, but he did not upgrade them. Was he waiting for willpower runes? Black's appetite was a little too big when he was waiting for 2 phase to reach legend and 2 willpower runes at once. Boss, what do you think about pulling Black into our team? Upon hearing that, Long Tao looked at Fong Duo as though he was a fool. Our team has 4 power offense-type spirit chi professionals and lacks a healer. Black has not shown his healing ability until now. Are you going to let Black join our team, and the 5 of us will go up together? Fong Duo scratched his head. In terms of strength, Black's current performance was not enough to join the Dragon Gate Guild Club's main team. However, it was more than enough to join the reserve team. However, Black's combat style and contracted phase were not compatible with the Dragon Gate Guild Club. In order to match Long Tao's Sea King Chalk Mosasaur, most of the Dragon Gate Guild Club's members had water-type phase. Therefore, if Black entered the Dragon Gate Guild Club's main team, it would not be of any substantial help to the team. However, it was rumored that Black had a silver/fantasy breed healing type fae that could even regrow severed limbs. However, Fong Duo did not dare to say this to Long Tao. After all, Fong Duo had not seen Black use the ability to regrow severed limbs. It was better to see it with one's own eyes. If he said it rashly and could not get any confirmation, it would be equivalent to saying it in vain and making a fool of himself. Boss, Chen Hongfeng should have won this match. Even if the smooth-toothed elephant lizard is severely injured, its exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike, is enough to kill Black instantly. Before Fong Duo could finish speaking, the scene in Chen Hongfeng's live-streaming room was like a slap to his face. It made Fong Duo speechless. After receiving Chen Hongfeng's order, the smooth-toothed elephant lizard did not care about its heavily injured body at all. Under the activation of the exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike, the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's heart was like a drum, emitting a violent dong-dong-dong sound. The red thorn plants near the smooth-toothed elephant lizard were shaking a little. All the energy in the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body gathered in its heart amidst the thunderous pumping of blood. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard opened its mouth and spat out a dark red and purple energy beam wrapped in the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's energy. The dark red-purple energy beam shot straight at Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan had been guarding against the smooth-toothed elephant lizard using its exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike. However, he did not expect the smooth-toothed elephant lizard to release its exclusive skill, Burning Blood Strike, despite the fact that the acid corrosion queen bee had inflicted such injuries on it. The timing was all thanks to Chen Hongfeng's battle sense, which had been cultivated through tens of thousands of Star Tower battles. It could even be said that when the huge-tailed swamp lizard had been crippled, Chen Hongfeng had already made up his mind to rely on killing Black to win. The dark red-purple energy beam was getting closer and closer to Lin Yuan, so fast that he could not react in time. At that moment, Xueqi instinctively released Scattered Light and faced the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's dark red-purple energy beam. When Xueqi's petite body, wrapped in Scattered Light, collided with the dark red-purple energy beam, it was annihilated. The dark red-purple energy beam struck and annihilated it. However, the dark reddish-purple energy beam had also become much weaker because of Xueqi's self-sacrificial protection. When Lin Yuan saw Xueqi dissipate after being struck by the dark red-purple energy beam, his eyes instantly turned blood red. The moment Xueqi rushed up to resist, Red Thorn had already waved its vines and wrapped Lin Yuan up. At the same time, the huge spherical mouth of Relinquish blocked in front of Lin Yuan. The weakened dark red-purple energy beam still blasted through the mouth of Relinquish. Finally, it shot straight into Lin Yuan's location, which was protected by the vines. Upon seeing this scene, Chen Hongfeng let out a sigh of relief. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard had also entered a near-death state because of this burning blood strike and fell to the ground. However, Chen Hongfeng's eyes suddenly shrank because he had not won the Star Web duel. That meant that Black was not dead. Chen Hongfeng could see the vines twisting continuously through the huge hole that was blasted open in the mouth of Relinquish. Finally, the layer of thorny vines was released, and Black was covering his left shoulder with his hand. Although his arm had not exploded into pieces under the energy beam's attack, the 10-centimeter diameter hole in his shoulder was constantly bleeding. However, the wound on his shoulder was at least 10 centimeters in diameter, and fresh blood was flowing out of it. All of this happened in a flash, and Chen Hongfeng's decisiveness made Lin Yuan unable to react. All of this happened in a flash, and Chen Hongfeng's decisiveness made Lin Yuan unable to react. If not for Xueqi, he would have lost this Star Web Celestial Stairway promotion duel. It had to be said that these nearly 100 duels had given Xueqi a strong sense of combat. If Xueqi had used the radiant body in that split second, it would have needed to absorb enough sunlight. Perhaps during the time Xueqi absorbed sunlight, the energy beam would have blasted Lin Yuan into nothingness. Therefore, Xueqi relied on its instinctive reaction and crashed into the dark red-purple energy beam. It used its flesh and blood to exchange for Lin Yuan's hope of survival. In the previous battles in the Star Tower, even though Xueqi and Red Thorn had been injured, they had never been blasted to death. Xueqi's death made his heart feel as though it had been ruthlessly twisted by a sharp knife. This was the Star Web Tower, and even if Xueqi was killed in the Star Web Tower duel, it would not be affected in the slightest. However, this made him think, what if this was outside? What should I do in such a situation? Although he had his path protector, the Mother of Bloodbath, and such a thing would not happen outside, he felt an invisible sense of oppression. However, Lin Yuan felt an invisible sense of oppression that came from his strength. Although Lin Yuan had lived 2 lifetimes, he had a winning streak in the Star Web Tower. He could not help but feel that his strength had been greatly improved and that he was no longer a weakling. However, after today's battle, he knew that he needed to improve too much. Xueqi subconsciously rushed toward the dark red energy beam with hints of purple, and instinctively used the mouth of Relinquish and vines to protect themselves. This made Lin Yuan feel an unprecedented sense of responsibility. His Fae's trust and reliance on him, as well as its unhesitating trust, gave him no reason not to become stronger and protect his Fae. The mouth of Relinquish was the core of Red Thorn, and now that the mouth of Relinquish had a huge hole that was the size of a bucket, Red Thorn couldn't hold on any longer. Baidu, read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Clawbook House, for free. Chapter 204. Red Thorn was connected to his bloodline, and he could feel Red Thorn's life force rapidly depleting. At that moment, Lin Yuan gave Red Thorn a final order. That was to let Red Thorn use its thorny vines to rub against the wound on his shoulder that had been blasted open. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body contained a mucus that made it impossible to stop bleeding. The mucus effect was naturally included in this exclusive skill, burning blood strike. He could feel that the blood flowing out of his body was making his body colder and colder, causing his consciousness to become unclear. After receiving Lin Yuan's order, Red Thorn had an instinctive rejection of it. Red Thorn's reliance on Lin Yuan made it unwilling to hurt Lin Yuan, but its blood-related loyalty also made it faithfully carry out Lin Yuan's orders. Red Thorn's thorny vines were stirring around Lin Yuan's shoulder wound. The flesh that was stuck to the dark red with a hint of purple energy was directly scraped off. This kind of pain instantly made his mind abnormally clear, and fine cold sweat flowed out of his pores due to the pain. After Red Thorn completed Lin Yuan's last command, its life force was finally exhausted. The moment Red Thorn died, the beautiful sea of flowers instantly withered. In the sea of withered flowers, the giant-tailed swamp lizard's torn body could be seen. When the acid corrosion queen bee attacked the smooth-toothed elephant lizard, Red Thorn's elite ramets also extended their vines into the swamp, driving the huge-tailed swamp lizard out of the swamp and tearing it into pieces in the sea of flowers. Just as Lin Yuan had gotten Red Thorn's vines to clean his wounds, which had been tainted by the dark red and purple energy beams, Red Thorn's vines suddenly appeared. This scene shocked many viewers in Chen Hongfeng's live streaming channel. As the sea of flowers withered in an instant, the silver-masked figure covered his wound and stood proudly in the sea of flowers that withered in an instant. In that instant, it seemed to become an eternity. Chen Hongfeng looked at Lin Yuan and actually felt that his throat was a little dry. Chen Hongfeng looked at Lin Yuan and said very seriously, "Yes. Black, it's your loss to suffer such a heavy injury. Even if you didn't die just now, you'll die within a minute with your current blood loss. Your gold bee had exhausted all its strength when it attacked my smooth-toothed elephant lizard just now. Although my smooth-toothed elephant lizard is on the verge of death, it's not dead yet." Lin Yuan now felt that when he had let the acid corrosion queen bee attack the smooth-toothed elephant lizard, it had been a different story. He wanted the acid corrosion queen bee to catch the smooth-toothed elephant lizard off guard and severely injure or even kill it. Therefore, the acid corrosion queen bee didn't hold back at all. When the acid corrosion queen bee used wing stealth to avoid the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's tail whip, it had already lost all its strength. At this moment, Chen Hongfeng heard a cold voice. "Did you forget that I am a healing-type spirit chi professional?" As he spoke, he waved his hand and summoned the silver-fantasy eye jasmine lily. He was somewhat glad that these 100 duels of tower climbing had also allowed his combat intuition to improve considerably. At that time, his subconscious action of using spirit injection on himself had become the key to his comeback. The silver-fantasy eye jasmine lily emitted several emerald green light spots. These emerald green light spots melted into his wound. Under the watchful eyes of Chen Hongfeng's live streaming room, Lin Yuan's shoulder, which had a diameter of 10 centimeters from the explosion, was actually healing bit by bit under the emerald green light spots. Through the torn clothes on his shoulder, one could even see the healthy honey-colored skin that was as good as before. His injury finally recovered completely when the last trace of spiritual power in his body was exhausted. At that moment, the smooth-toothed elephant lizard, which was on the verge of death, suddenly let out a mournful cry. The mournful cries came one after another as if it was suffering from some heart-wrenching torture. Not long after, a child bee that was only the size of a thumb and looked very similar to the acid corrosion queen bee emerged from the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body. However, unlike the acid corrosion queen bee, this child bee did not have 2 stingers but only 1 stinger. The child bee that flew out of the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body was around Silver V/Elite. Logically speaking, this Silver V/Elite sub-bee could win the duel if it went to kill Chen Hongfeng or the smooth-toothed elephant lizard that only had 1 breath left. However, this Silver V/Elite wasp did not attack the smooth-toothed elephant lizard or Chen Hongfeng, who was on its last breath. Instead, it flew to the side of the acid corrosion queen bee, and put its soft abdomen to the acid corrosion queen bee's mouth. The acid corrosion queen bee gobbled up the child bee hatched from the parasitic pupae it had just laid in the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's body. Logically speaking, the acid corrosion queen bee should have returned to Red Thorn's mouth of relinquished hive to devour the acid-swallowing larvae to quickly recover its energy. However, the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's exclusive skill, burning blood strike, was too sudden and pierced through Red Thorn's mouth of relinquish. This caused the acid corrosion queen bee to lose the acid-swallowing larvae in the hive and no longer have the endurance. However, The child bee hatched from the parasitic pupae once again allowed the acid corrosion queen bee's energy to recover a little. Lin Yuan did not stop the acid corrosion queen bee's behavior because this cruel, greedy, selfish, and tyrannical behavior was the instinct engraved in the acid corrosion queen bee's genes. Lin Yuan and Red Thorn were connected by blood, and Red Thorn had absorbed Lin Yuan's blood to grow. To put it bluntly, Red Thorn carried Lin Yuan's scent. Therefore, when Red Thorn died, the acid corrosion queen bee treated Lin Yuan as Red Thorn. Lin Yuan could feel the despair and sadness of the acid corrosion queen bee at the moment of Red Thorn's death. If the acid corrosion queen bee was cruel to her offspring, then her love for Red Thorn would be as deep. Lin Yuan did not refuse the acid corrosion queen bee's request to personally avenge Red Thorn. The acid corrosion queen bee flapped its wings and left an afterimage. It killed Chen Hongfeng, who was in a state of shock, with one stinger. After killing Chen Hongfeng, Red Thorn used its exclusive skill, two-hit kill, on the smooth-toothed elephant lizard that was on its last breath. This time, the acid corrosion queen bee used the two-hit kill on the smooth-toothed elephant lizard's head. The smooth-toothed elephant lizard's head was corroded by the acid. At that moment, Lin Yuan had won the most miserable battle he had ever fought. Even in Millstone Town, Lin Yuan had not been in such a sorry state. The acid corrosion queen bee flapped its wings and landed on Lin Yuan's shoulder. Everyone was shocked by the duel in front of them for a long time. They looked at the silver-masked figure and could not say a word. They could not help but feel an urge to shout in their hearts. Was this battle really at the level of the promotion duel? Even a Celestial Stairway 5-star battle would not be as exciting as this. Moreover, this battle had truly confirmed the rumor that Black had a silver/fantasy breed healing type Fae. Although they had not seen the severed limb rebirth today, the big hole in the shoulder had completely healed, which was not inferior to the shock of the severed limb rebirth. The live streaming room was silent for a long time. It was unknown who posted the words, "Black, awesome," on the bullet screen. Then countless, "Black, awesome" bullet screens covered the live streaming room screen in snow white. These countless, "Black, awesome" seemed to be witnessing the tragic duel that had just happened. It also seemed to be celebrating Black's victory. In short, Black, awesome, was the first to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Clawbook House for free. Chapter 205. For the past few months since the appearance of Black. Other than Black's achievements and talents, which had always been discussed and worshipped, Black's age had also been the focus of discussion. Black had always been wearing a mask and had never shown her true face to anyone. Everything was shrouded in a layer of fog, and people could not help but want to explore. Although Black had a faint youthful aura. However, this faint youthful aura did not allow Black to be identified as a member of the Radiance Federation's younger generation. But today, in Chen Hongfeng's live stream, countless viewers were looking at the hole in Black's clothes. Looking at the young man's healthy honey-colored skin, and hearing Black's cold and magnetic voice, Lin Sanjiu could not help but gasp. Although this could not prove Black's specific age, it could prove that Black was indeed a teenager. Chen Hongfeng's live stream was filled with cheers for Black's name. They witnessed the determined young man who was still standing tall and straight after a bitter battle. This resolute young man stood there with the temperament of a towering poplar. Through the silver mask, he saw the determination in the youth's eyes. In Chen Hongfeng's live broadcast room, the Black, awesome formation was finally broken by the other bullet screens. Water dripping stone pierces. Black, from today onwards, I'm your fan. Coffee otaku. I can't take it anymore. The soul in my body is burning. I want to climb the tower too. I must climb from the 58th floor to the 60th floor today. Wind and rain parting sorrow. Ah Feng didn't lose unjustly. If Ah Feng hadn't been decisive and let the smooth-toothed elephant lizard use its exclusive skill, blood-burning strike, Ah Feng would have lost even more miserably. A small goal in 5 years. My wife cut me a silver watermelon. I wanted to eat it and watch the duel, but I only took a bite and didn't have the time to take a second bite. It was too exciting. Fluffy little hamster. Ah, is there anyone who wants to say that the blue flash purple butterfly is beautiful? At that moment, in the meeting room of the Dragon Gate Guild Club, Long Tao said seriously as he looked at Black, who was standing there proudly. Feng Duo, do you have anything to say about this duel? Feng Duo said subconsciously. Boss, Black really has a fantasy breed Fae. It's a little too shocking to completely heal a shoulder with a huge hole. Long Tao frowned as if he was thinking about something. I'm not talking about Black's healing type Fey. Didn't you feel that something was wrong during the duel earlier? Fong Duo recalled the live broadcast that he had just seen, and his pupils suddenly shrank. Boss, where did Black get the spiritual power to use the healing type Fey at the end? Long Tao's frown deepened. From the looks of this battle, Little Fong and Black Dan aren't too far apart in terms of strength. In addition to scheming, the two of them are also competing in the control of their own spiritual power. The sea of flowers produced by Black Strange Plant and the blue flash purple butterfly are constantly releasing silent scale powder. Both of them are consuming spiritual power. When that bee Fey dealt a set of high explosive damage, Black's spiritual power must have been depleted. When Black commanded the bee Fey to use a killer move on the smooth-toothed elephant lizard, its goal was to directly cripple the smooth-toothed elephant rhinoceros. Therefore, reserving spiritual power is unwise. This is the first point. Secondly, if Black still had spiritual power, when the smooth-toothed elephant lizard used the blood-burning strike, that strange plant beside Black could have produced a few child rabbits to block the energy beam caused by the blood-burning strike. However, Black didn't. Long Tao analyzed carefully as he spoke. This was actually what Long Tao didn't understand about this duel. In a duel between two spirit chi professionals, many reactions relied on instinctive subconscious movements. It was just like how humans would instinctively avoid danger. When encountering strong light, they would instinctively blink, and when their hands were scalded, they would instinctively withdraw. Long Tao did not think that there would be anyone who would change their instincts as a living creature in the face of danger. Therefore, Black must have had no spiritual power at that time, but it had summoned a healing type Fey to completely heal itself. This should have consumed a lot of spiritual power. Fong Duo listened to Long Tao's analysis and subconsciously said, could it be that Silver/Fantasy Breed Fey has some special exclusive skill? Or is this Silver/Fantasy Breed healing type Fey a source type life form? Or is this Silver/Fantasy Breed healing type Fey a source type life form? A source-type lifeform's healing method is different from ordinary Feys? Fong Duo didn't think about other aspects, let alone that Black had another Fey that could restore its spiritual power. Judging from this duel alone, Black had revealed that he had contracted 5 Feys. Such a number of Feys was already a huge burden for the younger generation. As the Radiance 100 sequence number 43, Fong Duo had only contracted 3 Feys. One of the 3 Feys didn't seem to have been nurtured with any resources. Even the Radiance 100 sequence number 3, Long Tao, had only contracted 4 Feys. The Platinum X/Fantasy 3C King Chalk Mosasaurus was the main one, and 2 Platinum V/Fantasy I Deep Blue Dragon Jellyfish were the supplementary ones. There was also a Platinum 6/Epic Shark Devouring Dragon that could be used with a Platinum X/Fantasy 3C King Chalk Mosasaurus exclusive skill, Extreme C. Long Tao had only nurtured 4 Feys, and Black had nurtured 1 more than Long Tao. Therefore, Fong Duo could not imagine that Black had a 6th Fey. Long Tao shook his head after hearing Fong Duo's guess. He still felt that something was wrong. Call Little Fong off Star Web and get him to make a copy of the video of his battle with Black. I'll take a closer look. Also, get in touch with Black and see if he has the intention to join our Dragon Gate Guild Club. Fong Duo asked in surprise. Boss, do you want Black to join our team? Long Tao shook his head and then nodded. Let's get in touch with them first. You'll handle this matter. Long Tao's words were very serious, and Fong Duo immediately became serious. Fong Duo knew that Long Tao had acknowledged Black through the duel and intended to let Black join the Dragon Gate Guild Club's main team. At this time, Fong Duo suddenly heard Long Tao speak again. Give Black a promise. If he can integrate into our team after a month, then our team can sign him. Fong Duo replied immediately. I'll go to the Star Web now and contact Black. The Dragon Gate Guild Club was the 3rd place team last year and is ranked 3rd among the 16 A-grade guild clubs. If there had been a healer in the team last year's S tournament, the Dragon Gate Guild Club would have had the hope of becoming the champion. Now, the 4 members of the Dragon Gate Guild Club's main team were all Radiance 100 sequence members. It could be said to be an all-star lineup. Therefore, in Fong Duo's opinion, as long as Black was not stupid, there was no reason for him to reject. However, when Fong Duo went to the Star Web and was prepared to send a message to Black in the Dragon Gate Guild Club's name, he did not feel good at all. He looked at the Star Web system's notification and saw that Black had refused to accept any messages. Fong Duo looked as though he had eaten 30 bitter gourds. Why the hell did I pick up Long Tao's words and accept this mission? Black refused to accept any messages, which meant that he did not even have a chance to have a private chat. Fong Duo had made countless guesses. For example, when Black received the news, he would immediately jump in joy and come to the Dragon Gate Guild Club to participate in the interview on the same day. Or when Black received his invitation, he would put forward some conditions, and Fong Duo had even thought of how to reply. However, Fong Duo had never expected such a situation to occur. This was simply dying before achieving success. Come on. Fong Duo could not help but complain. Long Tao is really a scam. No, Black is a scam. That's not right either. Long Tao and Black are scams. Baidu read the latest chapter of the Imperial Beast Evolution Merchant Clawbook House for free. Tian Ningning, Black, I want to be your exclusive reporter. Lin Yuan could not help but raise his eyebrows. It was indeed as Xueqi had said. However, Lin Yuan did not want to work on messy things now. He only wanted to increase his strength and sharpen his combat skills. However, he also knew that if he ascended the Celestial Stairway as Black, it would mean that every battle would be directly exposed to the Star Web netizens. Any netizen on the Star Web could watch their duel in the Star Web's video library as long as they spent a certain amount of Radiance dollars. Therefore, any spirit chi professional who climbed the Star Tower's Celestial Stairway was equivalent to a star. An exclusive reporter was actually equivalent to a person's special assistant on Star Web. In the future, as long as it was a Star Web battle or any news, the exclusive reporter would be in charge of it. Lin Yuan was a person who was afraid of trouble, but an exclusive reporter could actually save him a lot of trouble and bring him a lot of convenience. However, Lin Yuan did not want to be sloppy with his exclusive reporter. Lin Yuan did not know Tian Ningning personally, even if she was a special columnist on Star Web. There were less than 300 special columnists on Star Web, and almost everyone was considered an elite nurtured by Star Web. However, this only showed Tian Ningning's ability and not her character. Lin Yuan tended to be more inclined to character in terms of ability and character. Although ability was very important, if one's character was despicable, then this high ability could do countless bad things. Lin Yuan would definitely not hand over news and combat records related to him to such a person. A Star Web columnist's character could actually be reflected to a large extent in the articles he wrote. It was not an exaggeration to say that every word written by a Star Web columnist was a gem. A person's character could always be completely displayed in every word. If Lin Yuan wanted to sign a contract with a columnist, he would not look for an exclusive reporter who distorted the truth or only knew how to sing praises. Lin Yuan felt that no matter what people did, they should at least be upright and realistic. When Tian Ningning saw that Lin Yuan did not reply for a long time, she sent another message. Tian Ningning, I saw your Celestial Stairway promotion duel just now, and you did very well. I wonder if I can get your authorization to write a combat record of your battle today? Tian Ningning directly recommended herself. She knew that if she did not fight for it, even if there was a chance, it might slip away from her hands. Just like this Star Web conversation with Black, wasn't it because she had gone to the Extreme Guild Club to fight for it? When Lin Yuan saw Tian Ningning's Star Web message, he really did not expect this Star Web reporter named Tian Ningning to be so persistent. Chapter 208. It was late autumn in the royal capital, and the weather was getting colder. When a gust of wind blew at night, it felt as though it could blow through the clothes on the body. It made one feel a chill down one's spine. However, when the late autumn wind blew on the body, it wasn't as cold as the winter wind. It was like a small knife cutting the flesh. The late autumn wind was the coolest, and it matched the setting sun. The sky was faintly dotted with stars, making one's heart feel extremely bright. Lin Yuan stopped what he was doing and was about to leave the room when he heard a knock on the door. Lin Yuan opened the door and saw Wen Yu walking in with a set of black clothes in her hand. Young master, do you think this set of clothes is suitable for tonight? Lin Yuan took the clothes that Wen Yu handed over and saw that it was a black imperial coat. It was made of cotton, linen, and silk, with a thin and narrow placket design. It was decorated with some inlaid black jade and spiritual materials. It looked simple with a kind of rustic magnificence. Although the cotton, linen and silk fabrics were both black, the silk fabrics were brighter, while the cotton and linen fabrics were darker. The two black colors actually had a style that clashed with each other. This made the imperial coat's design look ordinary yet not ordinary, complicated yet not complicated. The contradictory aesthetics made it obvious that this coat's design was unique. As for the pants, it was a simple black trousers. It was just that the design of the black trousers perfectly combined classical elegance and sporty toughness. The fabric used was black camel hair and silk. The camel hair was brighter than the silk, and the design of such a material gave the simple black trousers a different kind of vitality. It wouldn't make the overall highlights focus on the black imperial coat, but the trousers were brighter than the imperial coat. This way, the overall design wouldn't be top-heavy. Lin Yuan couldn't help but raise his brows. This spirit chi clothing was obviously made with expensive materials. The two sides of the coat had very inconspicuous dark-colored feather embroidery. The feather embroidery thread was the silk thread that the platinum dark death creepy spider spat out from its silk sac. The silk thread from the dark death creepy spider's silk sac was extremely rare. Just the dark death creepy spider alone was very rare, let alone a spider fae that would only spit silk when it molted. Putting aside the price, this set of clothes looked very low-key. He was dressed entirely in black, and there seemed to be no other colors. However, upon closer inspection, one would immediately be surprised to discover that this set of clothes hid a kind of low-key nobility. Where did you get these clothes from? Lin Yuan had also bought some daily wear during this time. Lin Yuan did not lack money now, but he would still choose some simple, sturdy and durable clothes when it came to buying clothes. He had been living a tough life since he was 8 years old, so he wouldn't develop an extravagant lifestyle after becoming rich. The clothes he usually bought and Lu Jie and Wen Yu's clothes were placed in their respective cloakrooms. Although he did not remember what clothes he had bought, it was clear that he had not bought this piece of clothing before. When Wen Yu handed the clothes to Lin Yuan, she kept checking his expression. Upon seeing that Lin Yuan was very satisfied with this set of clothes, Wen Yu immediately smiled and said, "Thank you. Young master, I made this shirt when I was supervising the workers for 2 months." Wen Yu's words surprised him. Lin Yuan had always known that she was a creation master and had maxed out her internal affairs skills. However, he didn't expect her to also be a weaver. Weavers and spirit craftsmen were both lifestyle class spirit chi professionals. The Weaver Association was also an extremely wealthy association among the lifestyle class spirit chi occupation guilds in the Radiance Federation. Humans had always been improving, especially when it came to aesthetics. Weavers could use spiritual materials to make spiritual clothing. Although these high-grade spirit chi clothes didn't have much defensive capabilities, they could prevent people from worrying about them being easily damaged in battle. Your weaver level shouldn't be low, right? Upon hearing this, Wen Yu smiled and said, "Young master, I haven't taken the weaver assessment, but if I take the assessment, I should be at least a 3-star weaver." Weavers might not be as rare and honorable as creation masters, but class 3 weavers were already very rare. Just the fact that Wen Yu could reach the level of a 3-star weaver was enough to show how strong her talent was. In the past, although Wen Yu knew that she had the talent to be a weaver, she had been wholeheartedly focused on improving as a creation master. However, ever since she had saved her fellow spirit attendant sisters and suffered damage to her roots, she had been ostracized by her companions and could not improve her strength due to the damage to her roots. During that period of time, Wen Yu had developed in the direction of a weaver. As a result, the process of making clothes as a weaver had made Wen Yu very interested. This interest was also considered a kind of vent and comfort during that period of time. While venting and comforting, Wen Yu suddenly had a kind of realization. As a weaver, it was actually a very wonderful thing. The weaver's values, character, state, habits, and even the will of the weaver when designing the clothing would all affect the final appearance of a piece of clothing. Weavers creating clothes was considered creation, and creation masters creating fays were also considered creation. However, he noticed that there was a man and a woman in the dessert area at the entrance of the wine area, which looked a little strange. The man and woman were less than 5 meters away from Lin Yuan. Since the man and woman were rushing in the direction of the VIP area, their backs were facing Lin Yuan. The man had a watermelon hairstyle and was standing there with a look of despair on his face. The girl looked sweet and cute, and she was eating the desserts on the table in big mouthfuls. He could eat a pastry the size of half a fist in one bite, and he ate it very quickly. However, the way he ate the pastries was unusually elegant. At this time, the man with a bowl cut said helplessly, "Zhao Xiaochun, can you stop eating? Didn't you eat all the dishes on the table in the training room just now?" The girl was eating and stammered, "Feng Duo, what's wrong with me eating something? I didn't eat your rice." Feng Duo had a helpless look. "How is this a little thing? Zhao Xiaochun, can you eat at another table? You've almost eaten all the desserts on this table." Zhao Xiaochun raised her head and glared at Feng Duo. "Don't bother about me. If you do, I'll tell Long Tao about you slacking off in the training room. Boss Long Tao won't give you extra training." Feng Duo said indifferently when he heard Zhao Xiaochun's threat. "Boss has been trying to contact Black since yesterday, ever since he found out that he refused to accept anyone's message. How can he have time to give me extra training?" Zhao Xiaochun almost choked to death by Feng Duo's words. Lin Yuan did not expect the man and woman standing not far from him to actually mention him, and it seemed like they wanted to find him for something. After a long while, Zhao Xiaochun finally recovered from her choking state. "Feng Duo, you were the one who patted your chest to contact Black with Boss. If you could contact him, would Boss still have to worry?" Feng Duo looked aggrieved and felt that he was going to be wronged to death. What could he do if Black refused to accept anyone's message? "Zhao Xiaochun, you're a member of the Radiance 100 sequence, after all. If you really finish this table, then the image of a food-hating lady on Star Web that you've always built for yourself will collapse. If you say something nice now, I can promise not to post the photos I took." When Zhao Xiaochun saw that Feng Duo was taking photos of her with his cell phone, she angrily put her hands on her waist. As there was too much in her mouth, Zhao Xiaochun took a full minute to swallow all the things in her mouth and said indifferently, "If you want to post it, then post it. If you want to send it, then send it. But if you do, I'll tell him that you lied to Feng Lei." Feng Duo was confused by Zhao Xiaochun's words. Feng Lei was the most stubborn person in the team. He was the least resistant to deception and loved to take everything seriously. What could he lie to Feng Lei about? Feng Lei was his good brother. Although Feng Duo was confused, he still spoke. "Zhao Xiaochun, I'll send it now." However, before Feng Duo could finish his sentence, Zhao Xiaochun said quickly, "That's right. Feng Lei's online girlfriend of 2 years hasn't made any voice or video calls with Feng Lei. Every time Feng Lei wants to make a video call with her, he's rejected by her. If you dare to do that, I'll tell Feng Lei that you've been using a smurf account to fool him." "Fuck. Zhao Xiaochun, can you not be so black-bellied? You're eating my blood-steamed bun. When did I use my alternate account to hook up with Feng Lei? Feng Lei has a one-track mind. If he really believes you, he'll die." Feng Duo recalled how Feng Lei had been frowning and sighing recently. He had been asking him why his online girlfriend of 2 years did not make voice or video calls with him. He took out his family tree and seriously thought about the name of his and his girlfriend's child in the future. Thinking of this, Feng Duo could not help but shiver a few times. If he let Zhao Xiaochun go back and talk nonsense, Feng Lei, a stubborn and honest man, would cry and beat him to death. Zhao Xiaochun was about to continue speaking when she suddenly heard a chuckle behind her. She turned her head immediately and saw a young girl covering her mouth and looking at her apologetically. However, Zhao Xiaochun didn't even have time to react. Her gaze was fixed on the black-robed young man next to the girl, who was covering her mouth with her hand. She said instinctively, "He's so fucking handsome." Feng Duo could not help but slap the back of his head with one hand and tug at Zhao Xiaochun's sleeve with the other hand. He said in a low voice, "Zhao Xiaochun, wipe your saliva and come back to your senses." Zhao Xiaochun wiped the corner of her mouth instinctively. She found there was no saliva at all. There was only some cake crumbs at the corner of her mouth. She rolled her eyes at Feng Duo. Baiduan read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Clawbook House for free. Chapter 210. After glaring at Feng Duo, Zhao Xiaochun immediately regained her cute and elegant appearance and stepped forward. "Handsome. My name is Zhao Qingqing. My courtesy name is Xiaochun and my nickname is Beauty. I live in the capital and I'm a virtuous lady. Can I have your contact details? Fong Duo immediately took 3 steps to the side, acting as if he did not know Zhao Xiaochun. In his heart, he couldn't help but complain that Zhao Xiaochun's infatuation couldn't be changed in this lifetime. At this moment, Fong Duo suddenly saw a familiar figure walking straight to the youth in black. Lu Jie walked to Lin Yuan and Wen Yu's side. Lin Yuan, Wen Yu, I've kept you waiting. Fong Duo immediately stepped forward and patted Lu Jie on the shoulder. Lu Jie, you're finally back. The Radiance Federation's officials had not announced Lu Jie's return in the news. However, everyone in the Radiance 100 sequence already knew that Lu Jie would be participating in the Radiance 100 sequence competition this year. 2 years ago, Lu Jie was sequence 39 of the Radiance 100 sequence. Although it had been 2 years since they last met, Zhang Xian had no idea how strong Lu Jie was. However, even if Lu Jie's strength did not improve at all, it would not be a problem for him to rank 70th or 80th in the Radiance 100 sequence. Since Lu Jie had returned to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence competition, it meant that his contracted source-type life form, the Insect Queen, must have fully recovered. Fong Duo and Lu Jie had met more than once in the Radiance 100 sequence duels and in the Star Web Tower Celestial Stairway duels. Fong Duo had always kept Lu Jie's terrifying strength in mind. Everyone in the Radiance 100 sequence knew why Lu Jie had left that day. Therefore, apart from acknowledging Lu Jie's strength, Fong Duo also felt respect for him. Lu Jie nodded and greeted Fong Duo. Then, he turned to Zhao Xiaochun, who had a love-struck look on her face. Hey, Zhao Xiaochun, it's been 2 years. How come you're still a love-struck Arabian? Compared to Fong Duo, Lu Jie was obviously more familiar with Zhao Xiaochun. Lu Jie had teamed up with Zhao Xiaochun when he went on a mission before. When Zhao Xiaochun heard the words love-struck Arabian monster, she immediately jumped up in anger. Lu Jie, I originally wanted to treat you to a meal, but since you called me a love-struck glutton, it'll be you treating me to a meal instead. As Zhao Xiaochun spoke, Lin Yuan even saw a flash of anticipation in her eyes when she mentioned eating. Lu Jie quickly waved his hand. I'm afraid that I'll be chased out by the owner of the restaurant if I bring you out for a meal. Now, all the restaurants in the capital don't dare to hold eating competitions because of you. Don't you know that? Upon hearing that, Zhao Xiaochun stole a glance at Lin Yuan and wished she could immediately rush over and cover his mouth. Right now, Zhao Xiaochun wished she could have a battle with Lu Jie and Fong Duo on Star Web. Zhao Xiaochun wondered if she could still maintain a ladylike image in front of this handsome guy. Fong Duo focused all his attention on the Class 2 Creation Master Retainer Knight crest on Lu Jie's chest. When Lu Jie walked over, Fong Duo noticed that when Lu Jie stopped beside the black-clothed youth, he deliberately lagged behind by half a shoulder. At first, Fong Duo did not feel anything. However, when he saw the Class 2 Creation Master Retainer crest on Lu Jie's chest and recalled Lu Jie's previous performance, he immediately confirmed that the black-clothed youth in front of him was the Creation Master that Lu Jie had sworn to be. Otherwise, given Lu Jie's character and identity, he would definitely not deliberately lag behind this black-clothed youth by half a shoulder. Fong Duo did not understand why Lu Jie had chosen to become a Class 2 Creation Master's retainer. However, Fong Duo knew that if this youth in front of him became a Class 2 Creation Master at this age, he would really be an incredible existence. As a member of the Dragon Gate Guild Club's main team and a Radiance 100 sequence member like Long Tao, Fong Duo was very familiar with Long Tao. The black-clothed youth in front of him looked to be only 17 or 18 years old. When Long Tao was 17 or 18 years old, he seemed to have only been a Pinnacle Class 1 Creation Master. When he was almost 20 years old, he had only become a Class 2 Creation Master. Fong Duo took a step forward and walked to Lin Yuan's side before extending his hand and saying, Hello, let's get to know each other. Hello, let's get to know each other. My name is Fong Duo. I'm 24 years old today. I like to eat meat and don't like to go out with Zhao Xiaochun. When Lin Yuan saw Fong Duo take the initiative to greet him, he reached out and shook hands with him. My name is Lin Yuan. I'm 18 years old this year, and I like to eat meat too. Fong Duo's eyes lit up. I love meat. Good taste indeed. When Zhao Xiaochun saw Fong Duo shaking hands with Lin Yuan, she immediately extended her hand as well. My name is Zhao Qingqing. My courtesy name is Xiaochun, and my nickname is Meili. I'm 21 years old this year, and I like to study. I don't like to eat anything. Because I'm anorexic. Lin Yuan's brows twitched as he looked at the lonely piece of cake on the table. Lin Yuan could not help but want to say, if she's like this when she's anorexic, then what if she's not anorexic? Feng Duo couldn't stand it anymore and immediately pulled Zhao Xiaochun back. I will bring her inside to wait for the auction. Nice to meet you, Lin Yuan. After saying that, he forcefully dragged Zhao Xiaochun toward the VIP section of the auction. The phase recovery time is determined by Morbius grade and the dying phase grade. Normal Spirit Lock, Jasmine Lily, Silver Eye, Fantasy Eye skills. Heal. Recovers wounds and replenishes life force. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Resuscitation Mark. Stores the healing energy released by the Jasmine Lily. The contestant can activate the mark to release the stored healing energy. Severed Growth. Comprehend the mysteries of plant growth. Even if a limb is severed, it can still grow slowly. Elite Spirit Lock, Spirit Gather Goldfish, Bronze X/Legend skills. Spirit Injection. Recover a certain amount of spiritual power in one go. Afterward, it will slowly recover the lost spiritual power. Exclusive skill. Spirit Chi Imprint. The spirit chi that is released is not released into the environment but stored in the Spirit Chi Imprint. The Spirit Chi Imprint will be branded on the contestant's body, and the contestant can release the stored spiritual power in the Spirit Chi Imprint. Bronze Spirit Lock, Blue Flash Purple Butterfly, Bronze X/Legend skills. Silent Scale Powder. Releases a special scale powder with a silence effect, causing the target that comes into contact with the scale powder to be unable to communicate with spiritual power and release abilities. Exclusive skill. Scale Powder Halo. Its scale powder has a powerful reflective effect. The multifaceted reflection of the scale powder will cause the target enveloped by the scale powder to suffer from optical pollution, causing dizziness or even temporary blindness. Under true data, Lin Yuan found that the new skill that Morbius had obtained was called Spirit Chi Condensation. However, Lin Yuan did not know why Morbius would have an additional skill out of nowhere. Morbius and Lin Yuan were spiritually connected, so it sensed Lin Yuan's doubts and explained. Previously, due to the compression of my spiritual power, I sealed a portion of my abilities. I only woke up last time, but I've always been flawed. After I woke up this time, the seal on myself has been completely undone. In Lin Yuan's opinion, Morbius' ability, Spirit Chi Condensation, was very similar to him circulating his spiritual power to guide the pure spirit chi of heaven and earth into his body to promote the evolution of phase. However, Morbius' Spirit Chi Condensation was to store the thin spirit chi in the air and the spirit chi in the Spirit Lock spatial zone to form a spirit chi crystal. Morbius. How much spirit energy can the spirit energy crystals condensed by spirit energy condensation contain? Morbius replied. Currently, a spirit chi crystal that has been condensed should be able to raise the Jasmine Lily's grade by 1 grade. Lin Yuan's eyes lit up. Currently, it was very difficult for him to increase the Jasmine Lily's strength. This was because Lin Yuan was currently stuck at C rank as a spirit chi professional. If he wanted to evolve from a C rank spirit chi professional to B rank, even if he constantly enhanced phase every day, it would still take a very long time. During this period of time, Lin Yuan's strength increase would be very limited. Given Lin Yuan's current standard as a C rank spirit chi professional, he would need at least a month to upgrade the Fantasy Eye Jasmine Lily from Silver Eye to Silver 2. During this month, Lin Yuan had to do nothing else. Apart from sleeping for 5 hours every day, he would use the rest of his time to enhance the Jasmine Lily. In Lin Yuan's opinion, it was a waste to upgrade the phase grades like this. Even if he spent a year to upgrade the Jasmine Lily, it would be impossible for him to upgrade the Fantasy Breed Jasmine Lily from silver to gold. It was also because it was currently very difficult for Lin Yuan to upgrade the Fantasy Breed phase grades that his strength was stuck at this stage. Lin Yuan was now a C-rank Spirit Chi professional. Given his current Fey equipment, he could have the Gold X/Fantasy Eye Jasmine Lily, the Gold Eye/Fantasy Eye Chimey, and the Gold X/Legend Acid Corrosion Queen Bee at his peak. However, the strength of the Jasmine Lily, Chimey, and the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee had yet to reach the maximum of Lin Yuan's current Spirit Chi professional rank. Lin Yuan's current strength was stronger than most of the younger generation's Spirit Chi professionals. However, there was still a huge gap between him and the Radiance 100 sequence. If he wanted to be ranked in the Radiance 100 sequence, he would need to have at least Platinum combat power. Lin Yuan's strongest combat power was only the Gold Eye/Legend Acid Corrosion Queen Bee. Although the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee was at the legendary quality, it had an advantage against ordinary people in the Star Tower. However, the phase of the Radiance 100 sequence experts would not be of low quality. In fact, many Radiance 100 sequence members even had fantasy breed phase. Given Lin Yuan's current gold combat power, there was no hope of competing for the Radiance 100 sequence. However, now that Morbius had recovered to its complete form, the recovered spirit chi condensation could actually perfectly make up for Lin Yuan's current inability to upgrade the fantasy breed phase grades. With Morbius spirit chi condensation, Lin Yuan might even be able to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence competition this year. Baiduan read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Clawbook House for free. Chapter 212. Lin Yuan's original plan was not to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence competition this year. His goal had always been to try for the Radiance 100 sequence next year. During the first year, they could only compete for the Radiance 100 sequence's top 10 spots, ranging from 90th to 100th. This was because the Radiance 100 sequence would only eliminate 10 people every year. Every year, only 10 individuals could fill the remaining spots in the Radiance 100 sequence. Now, an ambition suddenly arose in Lin Yuan's heart. He wanted to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence competition this year. They had to fight for one of the Radiance 100 sequence 90 to 100 spots. During this time, Lin Yuan had watched many Radiance 100 sequence members' Celestial Stairway duels in the Celestial Stairways video library. Although Lin Yuan could not say that he remembered every Radiance 100 sequence member's Fey clearly, he knew that the Radiance 100 sequence members had the same Fey. However, he still knew the general strength of the Radiance 100 sequence members from 90 to 100. As long as he had a gold/fantasy breed Fey, he might not necessarily be able to enter the Radiance 100 sequence, but at least there was a possibility of competition. At that moment, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of a very important question. How long did Morbius spirit chi condensation take to condense a spirit chi crystal? The Radiance Federation's S tournament was about to begin. The S tournament started in January and ended in March. Meanwhile, the competition for the Radiance 100 sequence would last from March to April. Therefore, from January to April, the Radiance Federation's New Year period was basically a carnival for the Radiance Federation's residents. These 4 months were also known as the Big Season. Morbius estimated and said to Lin Yuan, "That's right. Under normal circumstances, the spirit chi condensation would require around 10 days to condense a spirit chi crystal. If there is a sufficient supply of energy ores in the Spirit Lock spatial zone, it would take around 7 days to condense a spirit chi crystal." After receiving Morbius' reply, Lin Yuan was even more determined to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence competition this year. Lin Yuan didn't lack energy ores, so he just had to purchase them from Zhou Jusin's Star Web store. One spirit crystal every 7 days meant that it would take about 70 days to upgrade the Fantasy Breed Chimey or the Jasmine Lily to gold grade. It was now the end of November, and there were still over 3 months before the Radiance 100 sequence selection. During this time, he could upgrade Chimey from Silver Eye/Fantasy Eye to Gold Eye/Fantasy Eye. He could even use the extra spirit power crystals to strengthen the source-type life form, the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee. Fantasy breeds required a lot more spirit chi than normal phase required to evolve by 1 grade. The integration of resources this time was because 2 King class members had comprehended a willpower rune in the class 3-dimensional rift and needed 2 high-quality bronze phase. On the other hand, it was to save the healing-type spirit chi professionals who had suffered mental damage. There were actually quite a number of phase that could heal mental injuries, just like when Lin Yuan had been unconscious. The contracted clear pond cop of the Dr. Anti-Zhang had the ability to soothe the mind. However, a King-class expert's mental injury wasn't so easily healed. Even some King-class healing-type spirit chi professionals might not be able to do anything if they didn't have phase abilities or exclusive skills that were adept at healing injured minds. However, if he wanted to find a King-class healing-type spirit chi professional who was adept at healing mental injuries, the price he would have to pay was not small. As for the Diamond Rank Deep Blue Soul Awakening Petal, it could directly awaken the spirit. Life-saving items like the Diamond Soul Awakening Blue were probably even rarer than source-type items. Now that a Bronze Wave Halberd Killer Whale had been traded for the Diamond Soul Awakening Blue's petals, It was obviously an extremely good deal. It wasn't that the bronze wave halberd killer whale's value was inferior to the diamond soul awakening blue's petals. In fact, a bronze wave halberd killer whale was even rarer than this spiritual ingredient that could awaken a king-class expert's injured mind. This was because the ocean had become a forbidden area after the spirit chi awakening. The king-class expert squad that the Shadow Bat King was in had been able to capture this newborn bronze wave halberd killer whale due to luck. While the wave halberd killer whale's mother was fighting with a group of sharks in the offshore waters, the king-class expert squad that the Shadow Bat King was in had seized the opportunity to capture this newborn wave halberd killer whale. Bartering was to exchange an item or fey that one didn't need for an item or fey that one needed. As long as the price was the same, both sides would profit no matter what the transaction was. At that moment, the middle-aged woman who had been standing beside the Shadow Bat King without saying a word, walked close to him and said, "We'll directly display all 3 source-type items and then auction them separately. Hurry up and end it so that we can go back and use the Soul Awakening Blue's petals to awaken Shanshan." The Shadow Bat King nodded and said to the people sitting in the VIP area waiting for the auction, "There are still 3 items left for tonight's auction." There are 3 auction items left in tonight's auction. They are all source-type items. I've decided to display the remaining 3 source-type items together and auction them separately. Chapter 2:15. Upon hearing the Mother of Bloodbath's words, Lin Yuan could not help but be a little stunned. Others auctioned source-type lifeforms for contracts, but the Mother of Bloodbath obtained source-type lifeforms to eat. However, the Mother of Bloodbath's purpose of eating source-type lifeforms was the same as humans' purpose of contracting source-type lifeforms. It was to become stronger. The law of survival for Fays was survival of the fittest, let alone the Mother of Bloodbath. From the moment he was born, he had never contracted a spirit chi professional and had relied on himself to step into suzerain/myth I. The Mother of Bloodbath had experienced countless killings since it was young, so it was only natural for it to consume source-type lifeforms to increase its strength. After the Shadow Bat King took out the 3 source-type items, he pointed at the middle-aged woman who had just spoken. Let the Lightning Sparrow King introduce the contract conditions of these 3 source-type items. The middle-aged woman took over the Shadow Bat King's work and said, "Apart from being a combat class spirit chi professional, this king is also a pinnacle class 3 creation master. Therefore, let me explain the contract conditions for these 3 source-type items." Lin Yuan was surprised to find that this middle-aged female king-class expert, who was known as the Lightning Sparrow King, was actually quite popular. It was obvious that apart from the fact that the Lightning Sparrow King was a king-class expert, the more important reason was that she was a pinnacle class 3 creation master. According to the Radiance Federation's identity and status, a king-class expert status was actually equivalent to a class 3 creation master's. However, a pinnacle class 3 creation master's connections and influence had already faintly surpassed a pinnacle king-class expert. Class 4 creation masters were existences that king-class experts had to look up to. Any class 4 creation master would be someone that a king-class expert would have to curry favor with. The Lightning Sparrow King said as she picked up the source-type item. This source-type item is an elemental source-type item. Following the Lightning Sparrow King's words, the crowd below immediately became noisy. There were many types of source-type items, but the most precious ones were elemental source-type items. If elemental source-type items were nurtured properly, they would often be extremely powerful. At the same time, elemental source-type items were the most comprehensive. They combined attack, control, and defense into one. Many people's eyes lit up when they saw the amber button-shaped source-type item. But then, the Lightning Sparrow King changed the topic. She did not introduce how strong the source-type item was. Instead, she said, "Don't worry. The contract conditions for this amber button-shaped source-type lifeform are very harsh. It requires 2 willpower runes to contract it, and it's best if the 2 willpower runes are compatible. After the contract, when this source-type lifeform reaches legend, it will automatically be promoted to a fantasy breed." The Lightning Sparrow King's face twitched. God knew how happy the Lightning Sparrow King's king-class expert squad had been after obtaining this elemental source-type item. But he was speechless when he learned the contract conditions of the amber button-shaped source-type item. Lin Yuan was waiting for the Lightning Sparrow King to say this. However, the contract conditions mentioned by the Lightning Sparrow King were much easier than the contract conditions for the amber button-shaped source-type lifeform and were not comprehensive enough. Apart from consuming 2 willpower runes, the The contract condition for this amber button-shaped source-type lifeform was to consume 2 willpower runes. The exclusive skill would only appear after this source-type item was upgraded to a fantasy breed. This source-type lifeform was special in that it had no abilities. Instead, it would produce 3 exclusive skills when it became a fantasy breed. One of the exclusive skills was randomly generated like other phase, while the other 2 were related to the 2 willpower runes used during the contract. Each willpower rune corresponded to an exclusive skill. Therefore, if this elemental source-type lifeform could not be upgraded to legend and become a fantasy breed, it would be like wasting 2 willpower runes. It would be equivalent to wasting 2 willpower runes in exchange for a useless amber button-shaped crystal. Of course, Lin Yuan would not expose all this. Just the fact that it required 2 willpower runes was enough to prevent anyone from having any thoughts of contracting this elemental amber crystal button-shaped source-type item. As expected, the expressions on the faces of those who had been eager to try were as disgusting as if they had eaten cat litter that had not been changed for 3 years. Using only 1 willpower rune was already unacceptable. With the willpower rune, one could contract a bronze high-quality fae and strive to become a fantasy breed before gold. This was the most accurate way to use the willpower rune. In the eyes of most people, consuming 2 willpower runes to contract a source-type lifeform might be something that only fools with unclear minds would choose to buy. The Lightning Sparrow King did not care about the reactions of the bidders below. Her team had taken out 3 source-type lifeforms for auction because the contract conditions for these 3 source-type lifeforms were extremely harsh. At the same time, they were of no use to her team members. If she had obtained a source-type lifeform that was easy to contract and nurture, her King-class team would definitely not have taken it out for auction. The limit of phase that A-rank spirit chi professionals could withstand was Pinnacle Diamond. Even if an A-rank expert did not have a fantasy breed, if he kept nurturing a fae, it would not be a big problem to nurture it to Diamond. Therefore, the source-type lifeform inside the blood-red eggshell had become an incomparably useless existence. However, with true data, if the source-type Nether River blood mosquito could be hatched, it would not be as simple as Diamond. However, it would take at least 15 years for it to hatch, even if it was watered with a large amount of blood every day. Without the nourishment of fresh blood, it might not even hatch in 100 years. The blood energy within the egg was simply too vast. Who knew how long it would take for the dark sea blood mosquito larvae to absorb it all by themselves? Although this blood-red eggshell could withstand a Diamond full-force attack, the mother of bloodbath was a suzerain/myth-eye expert. Breaking this blood-red eggshell was really not a difficult task. After the Lightning Sparrow King introduced the 3 source-type items, the bidding could start. However, most people's gazes were on the Hurricane Owlet Moth in the second box. The Lightning Sparrow King said directly, "Then let's auction this Hurricane Owlet Moth first." Lin Yuan did not make a move immediately. The price of the Hurricane Owlet Moth soared all the way to 30 million radiance dollars before slowing down. At this moment, a young man with a ponytail stood up and said, "Senior Lightning Sparrow King, I wonder if I can use a bronze/epic gold devouring rat to exchange for the source-type lifeform, Hurricane Owlet Moth?" As soon as the young man with a head full of dreadlocks spoke, the scene quieted down. Bronze/epic phase were currently the highest quality bronze phase that appeared in the Radiance Federation. Any bronze/epic fae had the potential to reach legend from gold. Those with great potential could even reach the legend rank at the silver rank. Therefore, any bronze/epic fae was equivalent to a great fortuitous opportunity. Even a king-class expert would be tempted after hearing about a bronze/epic fae. When Lin Yuan saw the hesitation on the Lightning Sparrow King's face, he knew that it was time for him to make a move. If he still didn't make a move and the Lightning Sparrow King agreed, then it would be too late for him to speak. Lin Yuan stood up and said, "That's right. Senior Lightning Sparrow King, I also have a bronze/epic fae and would like to use it to participate in the auction." The Lightning Sparrow King immediately asked, "Little friend, what kind of bronze/epic fae are you talking about?" Lin Yuan didn't know how to answer the Lightning Sparrow King's question. Lin Yuan couldn't possibly say that he had all the species that she wanted. Even if she couldn't think of them, he would have them too. If he said that, he would undoubtedly sound like a troublemaker. The youth with the dreadlocks frowned when he saw Lin Yuan bidding against him. "If you have a bronze/epic fae, summon it. Let's see whose bronze/epic fae can enter the Lightning Sparrow King's eyes." After saying that, The youth with the dreadlocks summoned a golden rat from the diamond face storage box on his chest. He walked forward and handed the golden rat to the Lightning Sparrow King before saying, "Senior, please check it." "Senior, please check it. If you plan to exchange with me, I can add another 10 million radiance dollars." The youth with the dreadlocks spoke very sincerely, and his eyes were filled with determination. The Lightning Sparrow King took the golden rat and nodded in amazement. It really is a bronze/epic gold devouring rat. However, although the Lightning Sparrow King's tone was filled with amazement, there wasn't any joy on her face. It was obvious that this bronze/epic gold devouring rat didn't match the two King-class experts who had comprehended the willpower rune in the Lightning Sparrow King's King-class expert squad. Bronze/epic source-type lifeforms were very rare, so very few people could perfectly match the willpower rune with the bronze/epic source-type lifeform. People who comprehended the willpower rune would choose a bronze/epic fae. The first choice would naturally be a fae that matched the willpower rune that they had comprehended within their aptitude. This situation was no different from winning the lottery. The secondary choice would be a fae that matched their aptitude, and there was no need to consider whether the willpower rune would match. Many people who had awakened the willpower rune would choose a bronze/epic fae that matched their aptitude. It was already extremely difficult for most people who had awakened the willpower rune to find a bronze/epic fae that matched their aptitude, and they couldn't find it even after painstakingly searching for it. The youth with the dreadlocks' actions were equivalent to putting Lin Yuan on fire. If Lin Yuan couldn't take out a bronze/epic fae, it would be tantamount to causing trouble. Many people's eyes were gathered on him, including the Lightning Sparrow King and the Shadow Bat King. Wan Yu felt the youth with the dreadlocks looking at Lin Yuan with an unfriendly gaze. Wan Yu's expression changed, and the aura of the Radiant Moon Palace's spirit attendant suddenly rose. This kind of aura came from one's level and vision, not from one's strength. Lin Yuan could feel the change in Wan Yu's temperament. He shook his head at Wan Yu and spoke to the Lightning Sparrow King in a clear voice. "Senior Lightning Sparrow King, I won't add radiance dollars, but you can choose the species of the bronze/epic phase that I will provide." Baidu took a look at the latest chapter of the Beast Evolution Merchant Clawbook House and read it for free. Senior Lightning Sparrow King, if you say the phase type, the bronze/epic fae will be delivered to you before this time tomorrow. The Lightning Sparrow King heard and was about to speak. However, before the Lightning Sparrow King could speak, the youth with the dreadlocks spoke first. "Lord Lightning Sparrow King, apart from this bronze/epic gold devouring rat, I'm willing to add another 5 million radiance dollars on top of the 10 million radiance dollars to exchange for the source-type Hurricane Owlet Moth." The Lightning Sparrow King ignored the youth with the dreadlocks. To a King-class expert, 5 million radiance dollars wasn't considered an important wealth. What was truly important was the bronze/epic fae that was compatible with their innate affinity. It wasn't the Lightning Sparrow King who had comprehended the willpower rune. However, a King-class team's members were originally close partners. Furthermore, the stronger the members of the team, the more help and less danger they would face when exploring in the wilderness or dimensional rifts. The youth with the dreadlocks looked at the Lightning Sparrow King's expression, and knew that if that youth in black didn't deliberately cause trouble, this source-type Hurricane Owlet Moth was destined to have no fate with him. The Lightning Sparrow King and the Shadow Bat King exchanged glances before speaking. "Young friend, there are power offense-type winged insect species phase and defense-type deer species phase. If any of these two phase can reach bronze/epic, then this Hurricane Owlet Moth will be yours." After speaking, the Lightning Sparrow King paused for a moment and continued speaking. "However, you said that I can only get the bronze/epic fae to exchange for the Hurricane Owlet Moth tomorrow, so I have to have something as collateral." Many people's eyes were gathered on Lin Yuan. They wanted to see what exactly Lin Yuan would take out as collateral for the Hurricane Owlet Moth. Since it was collateral, even if the collateral's price was slightly lower than the Hurricane Owlet Moth, it probably wouldn't be much lower than the Hurricane Owlet Moth. Everyone present really wanted to see what this youth could take out that could compete with the value of the Hurricane Owlet Moth. Lin Yuan didn't expect that one of the two bronze/epic faes in his diamond fae storage box would actually be the power offense-type winged insect species fae that the Lightning Sparrow King mentioned. What a coincidence! However, the bronze/epic flame vein dragonfly in Lin Yuan's Spirit Lock spatial zone had awakened the bloodline of the prehistoric Silurian overlord, the huge vein dragonfly, under the extremely pure spirit chi in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. A bronze/legend fae like the flame-veined dragonfly in exchange for a source-type hurricane owlet moth was too much of a loss for Lin Yuan. Chapter 218. When Lin Yuan summoned the flame-veined dragonfly, the lightning sparrow king and the shadow bat king's eyes were firmly attracted to it. The flame-veined dragonfly's fiery red body was covered with green patterns, and it flapped its wings and created phantoms. Although the flame-veined dragonfly that Lin Yuan summoned was only bronze, if one carefully sensed it, one would be able to sense the violent fire and wind energy in the flame-veined dragonfly's body. This violent energy originated from the bronze/epic flame-veined dragonfly awakening the bloodline of the prehistoric Silurian overlord, the huge veined dragonfly. Such a bloodline awakening was equivalent to a fish-type fae awakening the thin dragon species bloodline in its body. The sublimation of the genetic model was a crucial transformation in the evolution of lifeforms. This flame-veined dragonfly had undergone such a transformation. The flame-veined dragonfly and the gold-devouring rats were both bronze/epic faes. However, in comparison, the flame-veined dragonfly looked much stronger than the gold-devouring rats. Of course, this was not the reason why the lightning sparrow king and the shadow bat king valued this flame-veined dragonfly so much. The reason the lightning sparrow king and the shadow bat king were so interested in this bronze/epic flame-veined dragonfly was that its ability to use wind and fire was compatible with the willpower rune comprehended by the king-class expert in their team, who had an affinity with winged insects and insect species faes. Even if a king-class expert comprehended a willpower rune and searched for a bronze/epic fae, they would only dare to hope to find a bronze/epic fae that was compatible with their talent. It was impossible to hope for a bronze/epic fae to be compatible with the willpower rune comprehended by the king-class expert in the team. But now, there was actually a bronze/epic fae that was not only compatible with the king-class expert's talent, but also had a compatible willpower rune. Moreover, this fae that matched their team members' talent and willpower rune had even awakened such a powerful bloodline. The youth with the dreadlocks had been very enthusiastic about the source-type lifeform, the hurricane owlet moth. In that case, the lightning sparrow king and shadow bat king were very enthusiastic about the bronze/epic flame-veined dragonfly that Lin Yuan had summoned. In fact, they were even more enthusiastic. Despite being a pinnacle class 3 creation master and a king class expert, the lightning sparrow king couldn't help but feel nervous. As a pinnacle class 3 creation master, the lightning sparrow king could see how outstanding the flame-veined dragonfly was. This made the lightning sparrow king want to swap this bronze/epic flame-veined dragonfly for her teammates. When the other participants saw the bronze/epic flame-veined dragonfly that Lin Yuan had summoned, they couldn't help but be shocked. He might as well look for this black-clothed youth and see if he had a bronze/epic support-type plant fae with offensive ability that could be of help to him. How good would that be? The youth with the dreadlocks' expression changed from despair to anticipation. He couldn't help but give himself a thumbs up in his heart. I, Gao Feng, am really a clever little devil. Baidu immediately read the latest chapter of the Beast Evolution Merchant Clawbook House, for free. Chapter 220. Lin Yuan looked at the source-type item that was in the shape of an amber crystal button. According to true data, this amber button-shaped source-type item was called the source sand. The source sand represented the sand element of elemental source-type items and could be considered a variant of the earth element. Lin Yuan was not in a hurry to immediately contract this source sand. Instead, he took out the blood-red eggshell containing the deep-sea blood mosquito that he had auctioned at the private auction from the leaf-shaped diamond face storage box on his chest. Lin Yuan walked out of his room and came to the long corridor outside the mansion. The eaves at the top of the long corridor did not look special under the night sky, but Lin Yuan knew that the mother of Bloodbath was there. Usually, as long as Lin Yuan returned to the mansion, the mother of Bloodbath would not follow him in. The mother of Bloodbath usually rested on the eaves outside the mansion, absorbing the spirit chi of heaven and earth and comprehending the lore runes in its body. Mother of Bloodbath, I've brought you the source-type item you wanted at the private auction. Lin Yuan threw the blood-red eggshell containing the deep-sea blood mosquito toward the eaves. A red shadow flashed, and the blood-red eggshell containing the deep-sea blood mosquito disappeared into the night sky. The mother of Bloodbath's pleasant and strange voice rang in Lin Yuan's ears. Lin Yuan, I owe you a favor. Thank you. After saying that, the Mother of Bloodbath was silent. Lin Yuan knew that the Mother of Bloodbath should be preparing to absorb the majestic blood energy in the deep-sea blood mosquito egg. As Lin Yuan's path protector, he would naturally be very happy if the Mother of Bloodbath's strength could increase. Moreover, Lin Yuan and the Mother of Bloodbath had slowly developed feelings for each other over the past few months. The Mother of Bloodbath usually hardly spoke, was not good with words, and was cold. However, he could feel the Mother of Bloodbath's concern for him. The Mother of Bloodbath usually said that it would not help him unless his life was in danger. However, just like the pinnacle class one-dimensional rift outside Millstone Town, the Mother of Bloodbath actually had no need to take out the source-type item from the dimensional rift for him. It was precisely because of the source-type life form, the acid corrosion queen bee, that his strength had made a qualitative leap. Otherwise, he would not have been able to fight his way to the Celestial Stairway promotion duel by relying on the Silver Eye/Fantasy Eye Chimey and the Bronze 4/Epic Red Thorn. Not to mention the fact that he had a record of consecutive victories in the first 100 levels. The night breeze blew the green jade bells hanging on the four corners of the eaves of the house, emitting a faint ring. The clear sound of the bell was especially pleasant in the night wind. When the source sand reached legend, it would directly become a fantasy breed and would no longer need to consume willpower runes. When the source sand reached legend and became a fantasy breed, it would fuse with the 2 willpower runes consumed during the contract and produce 2 exclusive skills. These 2 exclusive skills would be determined according to the characteristics of the 2 willpower runes consumed during the contract. In other words, after the source sand became a fantasy breed, it would be a strange elemental source-type lifeform with no abilities but 3 exclusive skills. When Lin Yuan activated the source sand that had just been contracted, it turned into a large amount of fine sand and appeared at Lin Yuan's feet. Lin Yuan realized that he could command the source sand to turn into a large amount of fine sand as though he was commanding his own arm. For example, when Lin Yuan raised his hand, a wisp of fine sand would form a thin sand wall in the air based on Lin Yuan's thoughts to block. At that moment, Lin Yuan realized that a wisp of fine sand had the intention to drill into the ground. Lin Yuan hurriedly stopped the wisp of fine sand. This wisp of fine sand was the source sand of high concentration. The source sand's intention of drilling into the ground was to shatter the underground ores and soil to create sand. If Lin Yuan did not stop the source sand's next move, the newly built mansion would probably be destroyed by it. Lin Yuan took the source sand into the Spirit Lock spatial zone with the amber button-shaped elemental source-type source sand. What Lin Yuan was going to do next was to evolve the source sand into a fantasy breed. He wanted to see what kind of qualitative leap the source sand would have after it became a fantasy breed and produced 3 exclusive skills. He wanted to read the latest chapter of Beast Evolution Merchant Clawbook House for free. Lin Yuan's current goal was to enhance the source-type source sand, so he did not bother about the low-grade energy ores in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. When the Gold/Elite Wind Speed Rapid Antelope saw Lin Yuan, it immediately ran over. He rubbed the Wind Speed Rapid Antelope's head and could not help but think that it would be a good choice to raise it in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. At the very least, the Wind Speed Rapid Antelope could continuously pour low-grade energy ores into the spirit pool, which could save Lin Yuan a lot of trouble. With that thought in mind, he planned to remove this Gold/Elite Wind Speed Rapid Antelope from his purchase with no loss store. Rather than selling the Wind Speed Rapid Antelope, it would be a better choice to let it work as a laborer in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan looked at the small limestone bowl that was constantly gathering spirit chi, and was looking forward to the spirit chi crystal that Morbius would condense in 7 days. After sensing the changes in the Spirit Lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan started to enhance the source-type source sand. With the infusion of a large amount of pure spirit chi, the source-type source sand's grade and quality were constantly increasing. During the continuous increase in grade and quality, the source sand's original amber crystal button-like appearance also became more and more exquisite. When the source sand was at the normal grade, its amber crystal button-like appearance was like a button roughly carved out of topaz. Now, the elite amber crystal button-like appearance had completely become a finely polished and designed artwork. In a short while, Lin Yuan upgraded the source sand from normal I/normal to elite X/epic. Lin Yuan took a deep breath and did not stop. He immediately upgraded the source sand to bronze. It was now extremely easy for Lin Yuan to upgrade an elite Fey to bronze. Since the source sand's quality was epic at elite, it produced 3 exclusive skills when it was promoted to bronze. Lin Yuan looked at these 3 exclusive skills and could not help but be shocked. What kind of luck did I have to obtain 3 such superb exclusive skills at once? However, Lin Yuan could only keep one of these 3 exclusive skills. Lin Yuan had always been very decisive, but when he looked at these 3 superb exclusive skills, he could not help but hesitate. The first exclusive skill was seething sand. If he chose this exclusive skill, the gravel produced by the source sand would have a scorching characteristic. The scorching degree would increase as the source-type source sand's grade increased. This exclusive skill, seething sand, would undoubtedly increase the source sand's attack ability. It was a very powerful exclusive skill. The second exclusive skill was proliferation sand. This exclusive skill directly enhanced the source sand's proliferation ability.